Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5 Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
Welcome to Dr. Homebrew, everybody. The only podcast on the internet web tube machine that will teach you how to make better beer, provided you send it in and, are around to talk to us on the radio.
This is truly Interwebs 3.0.
It is Webs 3.0, and you heard it here first because you only listen to this show. In fact, you don't even really know why there are other podcasts out there because this is the only show you listen to. I guarantee it. Actually, I started listening to Atlanta Monster. That's a good podcast. I like this true crime kind of resurgence that we've seen. There's a lot of true crime, like TV, coming out, and there's a lot of true crime podcasts. I really enjoy that.
Right.
I thought I'd share that with you. Speaking of podcasts, Heads and Tails, my new show with Warren Beardy Billups, if you can put up with him. It's called Heads and Tails. It is currently number 53 on the top 100 podcasts about food on iTunes.
Which one of you guys is the head and which one is the tail?
It alternates. It really just alternates.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys alternate it.
We
okay,
alternate,
that's cool.
Yeah. Looks like there's a lot of boring food podcasts out there.
I have nothing to say about this. I just realized I'm sitting here like, hey, I'm on the show. And I'm like, trying to jump in, but I'm like, I have nothing to say.
Don't want to jump in on this one.
Don't worry about it. I'm just working. It's fine.
Don't get your cat in this fight.
You'll be all right. Yeah, there's a lot of, it looks like terrible food podcasts out there. But I'll tell you what's not a terrible food podcast. Heads and Tails, where we talk about craft spirits. Check it out. It's sponsored by the Pico Still. We talk about the Pico Still. I'm stoked about that. Anyway, it's a good show. You should check it out.
Is this legal to promote other shows on the Brewing Network, or are you supposed to be doing this? Or?
Well, I'm supposed to have been doing it the entire time, but I always forget. But now that it's my show that I'm promoting, I'll remember all day long.
Have you done any I guess you shouldn't even mention if you have, but you've done any home distilling at all?
None. I don't have a machine yet, but I'm going to get one soon. I know I'm going to get one soon. Speaking of doing things at home, why do I hear crackling? You guys hear crackling?
Yes.
Crackling, yes.
Bad. Crackling bad.
Okay. Maybe whatever I did fixed it. This show is brought to you by 5 Star Chemicals. Go to 5starchemicals.com. Learn about cleaning and sanitizing your home brewing equipment. If you're going to distill or not, doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing, clean it first, and then you distill it. That's what 5 Star has beaten into everybody's heads, and with good reason, because that is how you make good beer, everybody. So
and
check
it can
them
be
out.
Good liquor as well. I mean, I've never understood people who are like, well, you can just make whatever crap you want to make and use turbo yeast and make something that tastes terrible as a beer before you distill it. No, you need to make something that tastes good as well before you distill it. You end up with a better final product. So
exactly. Cheap sugar in a bucket with turbo yeast. Yeah,
you could. Yes, you definitely can. But I tell you, some of the people that we've had on Heads and Tails, they're beer makers. For 2 of them, they're beer makers first. This one guy just worked. I think I want to say he worked at Gordon Biersch. I can't be sure about that. Another guy has a brewery in his distillery, and he just distills the things that he makes. So it's a pay attention to fermentations. Obviously, it's a pay attention to cleanliness, because these people know that it transfers over. And you should know that, too, on the beer side. On the wine side, you're making cider, making mead, whatever you're doing. 5 Star Chemicals has the chemicals for you, and they're good for the environment. They're
garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah. Okay, today on the show, it's another guestless show, which I apologize for, but I'm not going to take the heat for this one. We have Brandon's Rye IPA. We're gonna check out, which is kind of cool. It's in a Grolsch bottle, but just capped.
But they got capped. Yeah,
there's no swing top, which is cool by me, man.
They took away the swing top.
Right,
he was willing to send in the bottle, but not give us the swing top.
No, well, why would he?
Maybe he ran out of swing tops for them. I mean, I have some Grolsch bottles. with no swing top.
And then Scott dropped off a Vienna Lager, which I'm excited to drink. I know for a fact Scott is working tonight. So that, he's like, I can't make it, but I'll drop the beer
Scott?
off. And no, Dr. Scott would be here waiting for us to, and he would just say the same thing 5 times.
I smelled acetone.
Yeah. So we're going to drink these beers, and we're going to have a good time doing it. But before we do that, I want to let you guys know that the fine folks at More Beer have been leading the charge when it comes to cool and unique home brewing equipment like the RoboBrew, the easiest way to brew all grain. Made from stainless steel, the RoboBrew allows you to make 9 gallons of beer all in one vessel. If you're thinking about getting into all grain brewing and you're still doing extract or whatever, you should seriously consider the RoboBrew or the Fermentosaurus plastic conical. That has a 9-gallon capacity, conveniently enough. It'll hold up to 35 psi, which is pretty sick. So check it out, morebeer.com. Those people bring you a lot of stuff over here on the show or on the network. I'm sorry, I'm distracted by that friggin' static, and I hope it's not coming through the end of the into the recording. And there's no way for me to know that.
Yeah, good people at More Beer though.
Absolutely.
I haven't been in a while. I need to go. Like, I've heard it's they've
crazy.
Blown it out. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I bought the Sparge arm for, maybe I talked about it last time, but like the Sparge thingamajig, and that thing has just been, that thing's been great. I haven't been brewing much, but when I've used it, like, it's made sparging.
Hello, fellow beginners.
It's made.
Why did that happen?
It's made sparging just so much easier and smoother, and I really enjoy the Sparge manifold that they have. I think that's a great product, and anything there is great. But I was really excited. It took me a while to pull the trigger on that one. I had other ways to sparge, but it was fantastic. And I probably talked about it last show too, but just still using it, and I'm still really excited about it. So
awesome.
Got some weird studio juju going on.
I know,
here.
man. I know. I'm so distracted. I hit the start button and I shouldn't have done it because I didn't mean to do it. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's drink a beer. Maybe that'll help.
I think
that'll solve things. Okay,
it would help a lot.
You want to do Scott's Vienna Lager because we already have it open?
Yeah,
sure.
All right, let's do that. There's my glass. Or do you want fresh glasses, or what do you guys want?
No, we're good.
Right.
Keep her going.
We just poured it like
top her off.
Awesome. Keith, why don't you start us out since Brian generally starts us?
Thanks, JP.
And I want to be like equal.
I don't think I started any on the last show. Did I?
Yeah. You did. You started the first
I did the
one.
first one. Okay.
Thank you.
Keith Town.
Okay, aroma. I got some biscuit melanoidin toast, all medium high sort of area. Okay, this has been the weird thing I've been going on lately of just tasting kind of strange things. So I have this slight skunky sesame seed oil aroma, but just it's mild. But quite honestly the only thing I found off-putting about this entire beer at all. But no esters, really cleanly made in terms of fermentation, according to my nose at least. Low sulfur, herbal hop aroma with a touch of anise, and that's it. So 8 out of 12. Medium amber, orange in color. White head, great retention. Just overall, really, really pretty beer. Flavor-wise, get toasty, fairly hoppy in terms of flavor. Get some that herbal, spicy hop character. I thought the bitterness was fairly on the high side for I don't know if I said fairly on the high side for the style, but still in style. The finish was a little bit sweet, but the balance with the hops, I think it kind of works well with this beer. So it's nearly even, maybe leaning even a little bit to the hop side. Great clean fermentation again. I was really excited about how clean this beer was. It tastes like it was fairly well lagered too. It's very, very clean. Flavor has a lot of that. As I mentioned before, herbal, spicy hop character. The malt is pretty fantastic. Again, I'm kind of repeating myself here. Sorry. 15 out of 20. Mouthfeel, medium low body, light hop astringency, no warming. I thought it was a little maybe the body, just overall was just a little too harsh to be smooth. I know it talks about the sub guidelines talk about it being smooth, and it just feels like this doesn't really finish like smooth and crisp as it could. But overall, impression, I think it was a really great job with the fermentation here and the malt. I felt like the hops, either it could be, for dialing back the hop aroma and flavor, could be dialed back a little bit either, or nice, or just lagered a little bit longer. I think the hops, to me, remind me slightly of like a German Pils in terms of flavor. I would dial those back, let the malt shine a little more.
Yeah.
Say dial back like 100 times here.
I could see that. Yeah, like a German Pils or something, right?
Yeah, and
it's
I wish they
spicy. That spice kind of. Yeah.
It's maybe on the borderline edge of being okay for this style. And they talk about in the guidelines for this beer versus a Fest beer or a Märzen. That it's allowed to be a little bit more hoppy, but I think this is pushing the envelope a little too much on that, and I'd like to see that just dialed back a little bit, or even just lagered out a little bit more. But overall, that was a fantastic job in terms of fermentation, and I like the malt character. I gave it a 38, and thought I was really, really pleased with this beer in general.
Awesome. Brian, what about you? You're next, my friend.
Thank you. I wasn't listening to anything Keith said, so that my impressions will be uncolored, and I don't like listening to him. The aroma is malty. It's definitely, to me, it's balanced to the malt, bready and toasty. Didn't get any obvious esters in there. Has, to me, kind of a medium low herbal floral hop. Clean and pleasant. It seems really well lagered. It's nice and smooth. There's just a bit of maybe some sharpness. I wouldn't call it sesame seed. I was like, I'm trying to think of the weirdest.
You weren't listening to me, man. What's going on?
I
like
know
a brand new pack of toothpicks.
I like to say what the beer doesn't smell like, so people out there know it doesn't smell like the weirdest thing that could pop into my head.
Right.
It smells like JP's glasses.
Oh yeah,
a little more than
that's a good smell.
Sesame oil. Appearance, it's medium amber. It is beautiful. Orangey highlights, excellent clarity. Low white head, that persists quite well. Full points there. Toasty malt with a bit of sweetness in the finish. I would say it's the sweetness as it warms up becomes a bit high for me for the style. It's not super annoying, but it's just definitely, I would like it just a bit more attenuated. So that's one thing that I'll point to. But yeah, for improvement. To me, though, it's definitely malt balanced. I'm not getting a huge hop in this. It's medium-low hops, kind of floral. Seems cleanly lagered. Low bitterness, not as crisp as hoped, though. It's just a bit kind of wordy in the aftertaste. Like that sweetness is kind of coming through again. But I liked it. It's a very...
Like a creaminess. Like it's like a little creamy. It's not a firm, like, solid tie together. It kind of oozes out. That's what you mean?
I would just say that
it's very wet at
just
the end.
in the finish, it just kind of keeps going. The sweetness kind of stays on your tongue a little longer than you want it.
I get that less a creaminess, but that's me, I guess.
To me, creaminess is kind of a mouthfeel. It just feels like a creamy, smooth beer in your mouth. And this one has maybe a little more sharpness than that to me. I wouldn't call it a super creamy beer, but that's a mouthfeel comment. I was getting there, JP. You're getting ahead of me.
Sorry, I'm reading your notes.
Medium light body, medium carbonation, no warmth or astringency. It's just a hint biting, but not, I wouldn't call it like astringent. Not very creamy, smooth, just kind of goes down, but actually, mouthfeel wise, other than not being quite as crisp as hoped, it's pretty nice. But yeah, it's a pleasant drinking Vienna, really nicely lagered. I like the recipe. It's just could use a little bit higher attenuation, just a bit malty sweet in the finish, and get it a touch drier. And it's an excellent example of style. I gave it a 37. I thought it was very, very good. I could drink a lot of that.
37. Wow. Yeah, I like it too. I think it's good. And this is going to sound facetious, but for me, after when you drink it, it's wet. It like stays
wet,
moist. It doesn't dry out, but it doesn't just kind of hang out like a malt bomb. Anyway, it's like you're salivating. I don't know. It's a weird finish.
Vienna shouldn't be bone dry either, but you should have a hint of some malty sweetness in there. But and it's not over the top. This is a very fine point. And
Absolutely.
also, I drew a picture of a cat on my score sheet.
Good job.
And I think what you're saying, like we both gave it a 38 to 37, and JP gave it a JP thumbs up.
That's right.
But I think we both are saying that this is a really great beer, and any refinements and I can see what you're saying. With being a little bit sweet in the finish, and that can use a little bit more attenuation there. And I personally, I would like to see a little less hop expression in terms of flavor. But that's just me.
I'll argue with you about the hops. So
But this is what we do on the show. This is the point of the show.
Right.
This is how to get you a 50-point beer, or at least higher than a 38.
Well, I don't know if we can get you.
We might never give a 50 point. It's just not going to happen. Now it could happen.
48.
It could happen. I have to be open to that possibility.
That's right.
Yeah, bump it over 40.
Mind-numbingly
Right
good
now
beer.
this is already a winning beer. This is great beer.
Great homebrew.
It's a good beer.
Fantastic homebrew.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to deal with Brandon's Rye IPA and talk about that. It's Dr. Homebrew. We will be right back with more beers.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Kings.
Now, back to the examination.
All right, thanks for sticking with us, y'all. All y'all folks. Hey, if you don't know about the Brew Guru app, well, gee golly, you're sure missing out. Download the Brew Guru app. It's from the AHA. It tells you where to utilize your AHA membership to get discounts on great beers and appetizers and all that kind of stuff from local breweries. Also, homebrew shops. But also, if you are not a member of the AHA, if you haven't done that yet, which you should, because it's $38 a year, and you get so much good information. It's a good group of people that help you be able to homebrew. But anyways, if you're not a member, still grab the app, because it will show you where all the good beer bars are and where all the good breweries are, wherever you are. And so it's pretty cool, and also it's free. So check it out, Brew Guru. It's a cool thing. Okay, we have Brandon's Rye IPA. And, of course, Brandon's not with us tonight, but, hey, man, it happens.
This has been a very lonely show.
I know, it's hard,
A couple
man.
of shows in a row now, we've been very lonely. I feel like we're very isolated from the real
Bevo, how are you
world.
at doing an impression of someone named Brandon? Let's hear it. Just
Perfect.
Say, hi, I'm Brandon.
Hi, I'm Brandon.
Lower.
Hi, I'm Brandon.
Okay, no, higher.
That's pretty good.
That's good. I like that.
Okay.
How did you brew this beer, Brandon? What did you mash at?
300 degrees. I'm sorry.
Okay, that was the only question I had. Thank you.
All right, nailed it.
Did good. Bob,
right.
You did good. It's only been 20 minutes into the show, and we're on our second beer. I feel like a turd, but
We have some English barley wine to drink here.
yeah, I know we have your beers, and we'll get to those, I guess, eventually. If Bev
Cliff
gives
Bar,
us
we can split a Cliff
more
Bar.
We
glasses.
can quickly re-brew the Kick Your Own Ass Ale and
Let's just rebrew it.
try that again.
All right, Brian, go ahead and let's get into Brandon's Rye IPA.
Yeah, this is a 21B, the specialty IPA. Of course, if you look on your phone, it's a 21G, which I guess there's no such thing in the.
What?
So the style guidelines, there's like the BJCP just gave it 21B is what you get, in the when you look at the actual guidelines, but it's specialty IPA. But in the app, like
okay.
you get all. They gave each one a letter. They probably had to be able to.
They don't. I mean, the weird part about it is every app's different. Like, there's I have 2 apps on my phone, and the BJCP doesn't actually endorse any app. This is stupid.
Why not?
They should endorse an app. And
it's
then say that's the
2018,
app. And then certain apps don't have like the history and the stuff in the beginning of the description, so they're missing stuff. So I actually have 2 apps, so I can look at the differences. Because when I was teaching a BJCP class, people were like, "I had this app," and I'm like, "Well, no, I have this app," and we had to like use both of them to cross-reference what the hell people were looking at. So and now there's no longer a PDF version of the guidelines. So like,
correct,
it's all a mess, and it's like, what, you're going to go to the website? Like, who's going to read the website on their phone? Like, it's not a mobile version of the. It's just a mess. Like, I know I was like complaining on the Facebook page about it, and it's like, good God, like,
I'm looking
just
at
get a freaking like version of the app that is the certified BJC,
official,
the official one, versus all these ass clowns creating different versions of it, and yours has like 21G on it, like
an H, yeah, and then all the specialties, like it goes to 30. Whatever it is,
that's just that's their own made up thing.
The 27I
is recategorize stuff. Why don't they just like start changing the descriptions on that fucking app language app you have? Then like, I don't know.
I don't want to. I mean, that's now I want to do an app, but just shift all of the numbers to numbers. So if like the starting driver is like 1045, I want it to be 1047.
I want to have a description of like classic ingredients and what you're doing. Like, this beer has to be mashed at 300 degrees.
This is
like Celsius.
2015 BJCP Styles is the app I'm using. So or that's what it says at the top. Anyway, I'm not sure.
I don't know what app that is. I have a couple of it.
It has the BJCP logo.
All right, well, let's get to Brandon's beer, and let's stop boring everybody with app talk.
Someone told me too, like they listen to this show on the road with their daughter, and it's like, some of those words you just shouldn't say. Like,
but overall, we're the cleanest, most respectful show on the Brew Network. So take that for what
they're probably talking about the session and all that.
That's right.
Okay, specialty IPA, 21 whatever, Rye IPA. In a brown Grolsch style bottle. Had a light hiss when we opened it. Appropriate fill. Missing the Grolsch cap. Aroma-wise, it had a moderate hop aroma with had kind of a dank and piney impression with some citrusy notes in tandem with that. A medium caramel malt with low spice supporting. Esters are low and fruity, kind of juicy fruit-like. I didn't get any DMS or diacetyl. It seemed fairly clean, but to me, the fruitiness was a little bit odd in there. The esters were kind of expressing themselves in a little different way. It's just kind of like, I don't know. I always say juicy fruit gum. It's just like has all these different kind of punch bowl and sharp kind of tangerine esters in there. I would say that it definitely needs a little more hops to be a better IPA. It's coming across more malty than hoped. Appearance-wise, it's a medium light copper color. It seems a bit dark for this style. It has kind of orangey red highlights in there, and it's fairly clear. Maybe a little bit of haze, but medium low moose-like light tan head that persists very well. I definitely have to give it points for head retention. Flavor-wise, it's a medium low hop flavor with a resiny, citrusy character. Again, that low, juicy fruit note comes through in the esters. It's maybe like a Munich-y kind of a note, like I don't know, something kind of fruity in the malt or the esters expressing itself in a kind of a weird way with this beer, kind of jutting out in the beer. Medium low bitterness. Seems like a pretty clean ale. I didn't get any obvious flaws in there. The malt is medium caramel, and I'm getting a low spicy rye in there. It finishes medium dry with the malt lingering in the aftertaste. But again, I want more hops. I want more cowbell.
All right. You get it.
I need... anyway, medium-bodied in the mouthfeel. No obvious warmth. Slightly creamy. Medium carbonation. No astringency, I would say. It's not really a biting beer. I mean, there's definitely some hop bite to it, but it's not malty astringent, I would say. The bitterness does kind of poke out in there, though, and it does kind of grab your tongue a little bit. and it's fairly dry, so it just kind of has that slightly kind of leatherly drying out on your tongue feel. Leatherly, I said. Overall impression, a pleasant drinking rye IPA with a nice spicy rye character that is lacking in many of these. It just seems to lean too heavily towards the malt. And the hops might be fading. It actually had kind of, to me, as I kept tasting, it tastes like beers that I've aged a little too long, where it's just kind of, the hops are fading and the malt is coming through with this kind of syrupy twist, and like it's got an odd fruitiness to it.
I know what you mean. It's not, I wouldn't say necessarily oxidized or raisiny, but just...
It's not
kind of
papery,
like,
really.
Yeah.
Like maybe an odd honey-like thing, but so just the malt overall is high, and the color is really dark. It's I would consider maybe, it's a tasty beer. Call it a slightly hoppy rye amber. I don't know what you're going for here, but yeah, Brandon's Rye IPA it's a pleasant beer, but for style, I'd have to give it a 30. Kind of, it's not severely flawed in any way that I can pick out, but it's just off balance in a lot of different ways, and possibly aged a little bit past its prime. So sorry, It's like I'd love to taste this a little fresher and with a little more hop, but you definitely need to lighten it up a little bit. So yeah, good beer.
Okay, awesome. What did you give it? Sorry,
30 even.
Okay, awesome. All right, Keith, Kyle, Steve, one of you guys.
I will channel my inner Kyle right now. This is Kyle. It has a big fruity. I'm sorry. Okay, so we have a big fruity character on the nose. Very estery.
God, if you had read that whole score sheet that way, I would have had to leave the building.
I think I'm getting the ester. Some of the big fruitiness is both from the esters and I think from the yeast. From the hops and the yeast. So the esters and the hops. I get red apple, melon, floral, leaning toward rose sort of character. Really strong there, though, but also with a strong malt aroma. I get biscuit, light crystal, and even a hint of chocolate. Generally cleanly fermented, but I think the esters seemed a bit high, depending on the yeast strain you're using. I'm failing, I'm talking about a little bit of the hop sort of character there, but I think the hop should be higher for obviously a rye IPA. We're on the low side there. I should get a little more of the pine, the fruit, whatever you're using there. I get some of the pine and I get some of the dankness, but not enough.
They might be higher if the malt was a little more out of the way too. So
I was actually fine. Yeah. And then on appearance, like very deep amber, bordering on light brown. I was kind of surprised when it was poured. I'm like, what is this? Even looking at this, I'm like, is this going to be a brown IPA or I don't know. It was a strange color in general. It's hard to see in these glasses. Last night when I poured it, I thought it was brilliantly clear. But even in the head, there's a slight off-white, almost slightly tan head there. So there's probably some roast malt or dark crystal in there as well, which is a pretty much straight up a no-no if you're just doing a regular IPA. You're not going to put a 120 crystal in a regular IPA. Even if it's a rye IPA, if it's a red rye, that's something different. And maybe this is inspired by like Sierra Nevada's old red rye IPA, and that's a different story.
That could be, yeah.
But you got to do that. You got to make sure you're clear when you're entering it. Yeah, calling out what you're doing and what you're trying to do.
Okay.
So I think that's a good lesson for Brandon here. Is if he's going to enter it as something and wants it to be something, make sure you call that out on the submission form that you're saying, hey, this is a red rye IPA, not just a rye IPA. Anyway, so all that being said, moving on to flavor, get a lot of malt flavor, light chocolate note, fairly sweet with a medium high bitter finish. Not really getting the rye quality, but I can't really necessarily say I get that a lot in a lot of beers. I hear the spiciness, but to me, I'm just kind of like, I'm not really picking that up. Hop flavor is medium low. I'm getting apple, pine, light pine, floral again, and maybe a slight medicinal note as well. Balance, I'd say, is nearly even. Both are pretty high, both in the sweetness and the bitterness. And finally, like fermentation again and flavor, it seems the esters are fairly high. Nothing off, no diacetyl, no acetaldehyde, but I am getting a a good amount of esters there that are showing themselves, and like I said, even maybe contributing to the apple and floral sort of notes. Mouthfeel, medium body, medium carbonation. Astringency, there's medium low astringency from bitterness. Medium warming, probably all okay for style. Finally, I didn't dislike this beer. I thought I enjoyed drinking it, but for a rye IPA, I thought it was a little missed the mark. It's bitter and sweet with a complex malt character. Is it a brown rye IPA? I thought that initially. Then later on, thinking about it, I'm like, maybe it's an American strong ale. I think it actually fits better as American strong ale than anything else that I could think of, although it is pretty estery. And
because of those kind of darker malt flavors. And okay.
And it looks a little bit like Kick Your Own Ass Ale.
Yeah, and that's kind of funny.
Sue this guy. Brian Sue his ass. Sue his own ass.
He just took my beer, put rye in it.
It reminds me a little bit of a Nosferatu from the Great Lakes Brewing Company.
Never heard of either of those things.
Yeah, I'm sure. But a little too estery. I think I would watch what you're doing there. Did the fermentation? I was hoping to talk to Brandon tonight. Did the fermentation get a little out of control? Did you use different yeast strain, English strain, possibly? But it just felt like the esters were a little too high in this beer.
Okay.
But if you want to stay in the IPA category, do a couple of things. Declare it's a red IPA or a brown IPA or whatever you're doing here, and then you gotta bump the hops up a lot if you really want it to be an IPA. So it's gonna get lost in any kind of competition. So you really want to judge.
Saying it's a rye IPA isn't enough. You should clarify a little bit more.
You can make a pale rye IPA. You can make a red IPA. Okay. No, I mean, if this is for an IPA, this is too dark for a standard IPA. Would you agree, Brian, that this is
definitely.
It's like a brownish. Well, it's like brown. So you gotta say exactly what you want. What red would be fine. Hey, this is a red IPA. I could call this red.
Okay.
But you gotta throw that other descriptor into it, and that's all you need. I mean, but if you want this to be an IPA, you need to bump the hops up. I mean, right now we're talking about something that's estery, fruity, and not entirely unenjoyable, but just
So
this is the mark for an IPA.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we talk about rye a little bit?
Sure.
I'll give my final score, and then I'll let you.
Please, yeah.
27 is what I gave it out of 50.
Fair. So I think that I wonder if the spicy aspect of rye is coming from the association with rye bread and kind of the caraway seed kind of flavor that you get with a traditional German rye bread, and that richness. But you got to think ignore the caraway seed and just get the grain. It's not really a spicy flavor to me, like a phenolic spice, but it's more of a kind of a grainy depth to the flavor. And I've made some rye beers that have had 20% rye, like a really high percentage of rye in them, and they have this kind of gnarly, ancient grain kind of undertone. It's not.
It's a deeper flavor, but it's not
so I call it spicy when I describe it, but it's like that rye spiciness. But to me, it's in there. I feel like this beer has a nice amount of rye, and I really like that about the beer. There's a lot else in there kind of arguing against that, but it still expresses itself in an interesting way, and the rye works with the beer. So, it's just, to me, it might be a matter of categorizing it or, kind of rebrewing it so it meets more of that traditional style IPA, but definitely needs more hops for sure. So
for sure.
But yeah,
cool.
Good rye IPA can be really fun, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it'd be a good experiment to do this would be to make a beer without rye and with rye and side by side, and just make the two beers.
Yeah.
And like you said, 20-25%, and be like, hey, what does rye taste like? Because I've always struggled with that. I've made rye IPAs and always been I don't know really, So maybe that's just my own lack of refinement in tasting rye, but. I know exactly what you're talking about. The caraway. I've always disliked caraway as a child and never liked rye bread. It was Christmas came around and was like, hey, you have some rye bread with Swiss cheese and ham. And I'm like,
no, thanks.
Can I get something else? Yeah.
But the grain itself is a distinctive and rich, kind of earthy, grainy flavor, and it gives it a twist for sure.
Yeah,
I didn't want a hot dog. I would take really spicy mustard and slap it on the ham, and then
scrape all the caraway seeds off.
No, I put the cheese in the middle and just eat a ham and cheese sandwich without any bread. that sort of thing. But
all right, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and I have a question that someone emailed in to us. So we're going to address that, and
the question is, why
we're going to give
relevant to the price of
who knows?
Wheat.
All right, this is Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back, everybody.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're going to have to pour you out.
Back to Dr. Homebrew.
Hey, thanks for hanging around, everybody. Before we get to this question, in which, why not? Why don't we get email questions? Who knows? If you have a question, email me and jp@thebrewingnetwork.com, and, we'll eventually read it on the air. Although this one is a little bit, this is from like February 7th, so it's, it's pretty relevant. But before we get to that, I do want to talk to you guys about water, and specifically the Smart Brew water testing kit, which is the iDip. It's for home or commercial use, the only meter on the market that runs water tests with no math needed on your part, which is why I love it. The iDip pairs via Bluetooth and updates your water results instantly to your own personal water profile that you can email to the rest of your brewing team or post to your Facebook page and let your homebrew club get the lowdown on your base water profile. There are over 40 different water quality tests. 4 come preloaded on the iDip, and more are available for things like total alkalinity, chloride, calcium, hardness, pH, sulfate, and more. And you only need 4 mils of water for each test, which is pretty dope. So check it out. Go to smartbrewkit.com and enter code TBN10 at checkout, and you can save $10 on either the standard or advanced Smart Brew testing kit. Okay, here is this question. This is questions from Dean. He says, I would like to brew some Belgians, doubles, triples, quads, this spring, and I dug out some of my old recipes from back in the day. I caught the hop bug, so it's been more than 2 decades since I've really brewed many of the maltier styles. I remember the results to have been very good, other than a few bad experiments with spice additions, but I was surprised to see that I had used Maris Otter in these recipes instead of the traditional quote, good continental Pilsner malt. Can you advise why I should use a Pilsner malt over a pale ale malt in a Belgian ale recipe? Thanks, he says.
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
I mean, Maris Otter, just, the traditional floor malted Maris Otter malt is going to give you that rich kind of bready, just English ale taste that you get in ESBs and it's just a richer flavor to me that's probably going to fight. I think that the Belgian Pilsner malt just has a nice, crisp kind of Pils malt flavor. You got to watch out. You got to be careful with your boil and definitely be sure you drive off all the DMS precursors or you're going to have a little bit of that in there. But No, I would definitely go with the traditional. It's going to make a difference in your beer. Try brewing the same beer with both grains and submit it to a competition and see which one does better. If you do everything identically, I guarantee you that Belgian Pils malt's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the styles you're making. I'm not sure if he just said doubles and Belgian dark strongs. Is that what he said? But
he said doubles,
ones.
triples, and quads.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do a triple, you need a Pils malt. I mean, you need that flavor. Like that's anything else is going to get in the way, and it's just going to mess up the beer. And Belgian Golden Strong's even probably more that way. He didn't mention that, but like a Belgian Pilsner, you need a Pils malt. Like I've seen like doubles and Belgian quads made with like Belgian pale ale malt, and I think that malt has less. It's more like an American pale malt than it is like a Maris Otter. Like Maris Otter has a pretty distinct biscuity sort of flavor to it that is it's gonna influence the beer. Like you want a little bit of that biscuit flavor in your double, but like a full 100%, not 100%, but like 100% your base malt being Maris Otter, that's gonna add a lot of flavor there that you probably don't want.
You can get away with blending for complexity, maybe, but
you could probably drop the biscuit malt and blend some of that in, but finding all that out, it's gonna be a pain in the butt. And if you think about a professional brewery, they're not gonna do that. They're gonna use a base malt and then mix the other specialty malts in, and even use it by a sack rate sort of. A sack rate.
Sack rate. What's your sack rate on that beer?
I'm going to find out what's going to fit in like there. But like, I mean, you can try it. Like, it's fun. Do it. But as Brian mentions, it may not hit the mark when it comes to, too much biscuity character from the beer. Like it's going to taste a little bit different, and your attenuation probably be a little bit different as well from using that malt. But maybe not much. But I think.
But enough to make an impact? Do you think maybe just a Maris Otter is going to be maybe a little dry it out a little too much? Is that what you mean?
No,
or the opposite?
More sweetness.
Yeah, more sweetness, and I mean, I guess.
More sweetness than the Pilsner malt would?
Yeah, I think a Belgian Pils or other types of Pils, like they may be more cheaper than Maris Otter, so there's another cost consideration there. Like, why do you want to use something that's going to cost you more money when it's not even necessarily the style? But it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Are you trying to win awards, or you just want to make a beer that you really enjoy drinking, and maybe you really like that biscuity character, and you want that to be in your beer, then that's fine. And there's other ways to accomplish that as well. You can mix in, like we talked about before, like Munich malt or even biscuit malt and stuff like that. Like just different flavors to get where you want to be. And it's all a balancing act, and how traditional you want to be with everything. And if you're already adding like Maris Otter, then you may be able to find a cheaper way there or an easier way there than to either blend or use 100%. But if you somehow have a silo of Maris Otter in your backyard, then fine, go for it and try it. Like
it might make really good beer.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to make great beer. It just may not taste like your typical double. And the bigger styles, I get a little worried about attenuation. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could probably attenuate Maris Otter down as much as you want, but
the argument I've always heard is just flavor replication. If you want it to taste the way it traditionally is made, I don't even know, traditionally, the way that it's made, to style, you need the flavor impact of that Pilsner malt that Maris Otter doesn't necessarily bring.
Pilsner malt has a lot of flavor, like, and that's kind of like, it's always been a weird thing. Yeah, people are always like, well, you could just replace it with Pilsner malt. Let's make a triple IPA or a double IPA with Pilsner malt, and like that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because Pilsner malt to me has more flavor than 2-row. And it's like I never really understood, like, hey, let me just throw Pilsner malt in, because Pilsner malt does give you certain characteristics. You get the graininess, you get the a little bit of DMS as well. I don't know. There's just a certain character about Pilsner malt, and there's a reason you use it in Helles versus using a 2-row, and and a triple, for example, too. Like if you throw together a triple with just 2-row malt and simple syrup or whatever, any of the syrups that you can use. It's not going to taste
boring,
the same. It's not going to taste right. Pilsner malt has a specific flavor.
The styles developed over the years in the regions that they were traditionally brewed because these grains that were grown on their soil and malted the way they malt them worked with that process that the brewers put together to make it into beer. Mm-hmm. And it's just developed over, millennia or centuries at least, but to become what it is today, and why mess with a good thing?
To me, it's most glaring in Kolsch. I think where if you have like a 2-row, Kolsch versus a Pilsner malt Kolsch, it's a no-brainer. So, Dean, what I would suggest maybe is kind of what the guys were saying a little bit too, but to just riff on it a little bit. take some Maris Otter, take some Pilsner malt, and steep them both, and taste it. Taste the wort that comes from that, and just in a little quart or a little ounce thing or whatever. Steep in some hot water for, at 150 for half an hour, and then pour it off and taste it. You'll taste the difference right then, and that will carry over. So that's the reason. The reason is just flavor. It's your flavor impact is going to be better with a Pilsner malt. Well, I shouldn't say better. Different, right?
It's going to be different. It's more appropriate. Yes. Again, if you want to brew to style and brew for competitions, you're going to need to do that. If you want to just brew for your own taste and you want to make a great Belgian style beer that's a little bit different out of the box, then that'd be kind of fun. But I guess it depends on what you're really trying to do there.
Yeah, for sure.
Chewing on the malts tells you something too. But though you get more husk character in that way. But
yeah.
Hey JP, tell me, what's this Spring Brews Fest thing you
guys
always do?
I'm glad that you said that because I'm literally just looking up the Spring Fest promotion. They are on. Tickets are on sale. The event is March 31st, our annual Spring Brews Fest. You can go to thebringnetwork.com/Spring Brews Festival 2018, and there are hyphens in there for sure. But I think that there are 60 breweries.
And some great breweries, by the way. Like some of the breweries you wouldn't see at other festivals in the Bay Area, for example, are there. Like just Rare Barrel for as an example. Like they don't go to a lot of festivals, and
no, they really don't.
And Russian River and Altamont. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I'm not even gonna. If I have to name all 60, I'd feel whatever. But there's a lot of great breweries there, and it's. I
don't
have
a list. The list is not on our website.
Well,
it was in the bathroom. I was just I was using the urinal. I looked up and I'm like, man, that's a pretty good list. That's a pretty good list of breweries.
It's on the urinal, but it's not on our website.
Yeah. So if you can come with me to the urinal right now, we'll be.
Actually, I would love it if you went into the urinal and called in. I swear to God, go to the bathroom and call in.
I think if you search for
go to the bathroom and call in.
He's not going to do it, JP.
Why not?
I'm drinking beer right now.
That's radio. Oh, you guys are fucking boring.
We suck.
Well, anyway, tickets are now on sale. They're $40 pre-sale or $50 at the door, and they include unlimited pours and a commemorative glass. Of course, if you're a DD, if you're a designated driver, tickets are $5. But this is a 21 and over only event.
Why is it so cheap too? I mean, that's crazy. Like compared to some of the other events I've been to in the Bay Area, that's a great price as well.
It is crazy, and this event is, again, a benefit for the TSBA Arts Foundation, which helps fund the summer music program in Todos Santos Park, as well as youth music programs around Concord. So check it out, BrewingNetwork.com, Spring Brews Fest, and you can get your tickets now.
Oh, okay. Yes. That would be fun.
All right.
I would like to do that.
Yep, sounds good. I will not be there because I will probably have had a kid by then, and, all that kind of stuff.
Life will change.
God bless me. God bless everybody. God bless everybody. Whoever needs it. Satan bless you too. Whatever you want to do.
However you roll. Yep.
So we're on our way out right now. I just want to say I'm drinking my English barley wine.
There we go.
I've been brewing for 22 years, and the first time I'm actually brewing English barley wine, and it's fun.
All right.
Drinking it, and
it's tasty.
There we go. Keith is going to have no fun right now because he didn't go do my bit for me, and that sucks.
So there'd be a line, and I'd go there, and there'd be a line. I'd like stand between people, be like, "Hey,
yes,
can I squeeze through and use the urinals?" Like, take a picture of the.
Yes, this is exactly. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted people in the bathroom while you did that.
Guys in the bathroom. That's not what
you don't have to. Look, if you pray that away, Anyway, all right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we will see you next month.